Hey everybody, it's Belly Boudreaux, aka Wrestle Gamer, back here on the with another installment of WGS-TV right here on YouTube.com/WrestleGamer. And I know I haven't done this for a while. I do apologize for, my lack of reviews here on WGS-TV, but I'm back doing the reviews. So, this is my review of Friday Night Smackdown for the week of December 9th, 2011. They open up the show with apparent another attack from Cody Rhodes on Booker T, and to be honest with you, I'm really looking forward to seeing the cultivation of this feud at TLC. Well, it might not be that. It may not be the climax of the feud at TLC. We might see something more, possibly. WWE's tired of having, Booker T on commentary, and they want him back in the ring, because he can still go from the way he looks. He's in good shape, so. And then we had, the announcement of Cody Rhodes going to be on commentary, and again, Michael Cole with the over-the-heel gimmick, thrusting it in our faces that he's a heel, like, ha ha ha, I'm a bad guy, and you have to know it by the way I laugh and what I say. It's just way too over the top. I don't know how long we said it, but it needs to stop. So, we'll also open up with the announcement of a Beat the Clock challenge between Wade Barrett and Randy Orton. And the winner of this would get to pick the stipulation for the match that they're going to have at TLC. Which really comes obvious, I will tell you, a little bit later in the review. So, Wade Barrett's opponent was Ezekiel Jackson. Fairly decent match. Big Zeke had hair. I don't know if that means anything. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Big Zeke has hair. Anyway. Very good, interesting match. Back and forth here. It was obvious Wade Barrett was going to win. Honestly, put him in such a high-profile match to build up for TLC against Randy Orton. Of course, they're not going to let him lose. They get up and make him win. And he did so in his time was 7 minutes and 53 seconds. So that's pretty decent time. Then we had a segment involving Daniel Bryan. He was coming out to talk about what happened with him at the holiday special, and then of course Michael Cole again with the over-the-top heel gimmick. Just got thrusted in on our faces, even further, like ha ha, I'm a heel, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get on the microphone and piss everybody off by going after Daniel Bryan again. Then Daniel Bryan, goes after Michael Cole. Again, I'm just praying for the day when Daniel Bryan just puts Michael Cole in the label lock. I know I might sound a little bit like a mark by saying that, but I just want to see Daniel Bryan just kick the crap out of Michael Cole and just put him in the label lock, for God's sakes. Just let him do it, and then I'll become the biggest Daniel Bryan fan, and then I'll get Daniel Bryan's merchandise, and I will hype him up more than Zack Ryder. Plain and simple. And then speaking of Zack Ryder, well, Cody Rhodes intercepted Daniel Bryan in that segment, and apparently which led to a match they're going to have later on in the program. We had a match with Zack Ryder and Heath Slater. You can kind of tell that it's going to be a squash match, because one, Heath Slater did not have an intro at all, and two, and that's all he's been doing as of late is squash matches. So Zack, that's all it was. It was a squash match with Zack Ryder, and of course, you had Michael Cole. Oh, he doesn't deserve to be in the United States title match and stuff like that. Give me a break. We had Ted DiBiase and Jobber Mahal. I'm sorry, Jinder Mahal. I mean, they really tried to push this too, and I really don't know if it went over or not, because Jinder Mahal hasn't won a match, I want to say, months. Then ever since they turned Ted DiBiase face, he's been winning matches left and right. Somebody put me posted a comment on my Twitter and said that he thought DiBiase was a jobber too, so it was basically jobber versus jobber. No, when they turned him face, he wasn't a jobber anymore. He started winning matches. So you know, to me, that takes him out of the jobber classification and puts him at mid-card status at best. Pardon me. Then we had the by the way, Hornswoggle was the announcer on that match. We had the confrontation with Big Show and Mark Henry, and it was quite evident what their title match is going to be at TLC. It's going to be a chair match. Whoever invented a chair match is probably Michael Cole. In that status, you're a moron. Didn't they have a chair match with Batista and Undertaker or something like that, and it was just absolutely awful? I know it involved Batista, I just can't remember whose opponent was. Anyway, then of course Big Show, Mark Henry, assaults, Big Show retaliates, Michael Cole retaliates. It's a cheap shot. He's a wounded man. He shouldn't have done that. Bull. Again, Michael Cole's over the heel gimmick. Oh, I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting sick of it. Let Michael Cole go back to being, an average commentator. Don't, get him out of this over-the-top heel gimmick, That's all I'm gonna say. We had Hornswoggle was the announcer on Sheamus and David Otunga, not Ted DiBiase and Jinder Mahal. I apologize. I got my notes mixed up. I apologize on that one. See, even I make mistakes. We all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. But it was another match. Basically, I considered it to be a squash match. Sheamus and David Otunga, pretty much like Randy Orton and David Otunga on that Miracle on 34th Street fight, where David Otunga got pretty much whipped like a rag doll. And then we had the match with Cody Rhodes and Daniel Bryan, which is kind of evident from the run-in they had earlier in the night, but it ended in disqualification because Booker T finally came to get him some of Cody Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes hightailed it out of there. And from really what it looks like, we're going to have a match with Cody Rhodes. Well, yeah, it was announced. We're going to have a match with Cody Rhodes and Booker T at, I think it's at TLC. It's either at TLC or next week. I think it might be better at TLC. And for the Intercontinental title. And then the main event is Randy Orton had to beat Dolph Ziggler in less than 7 minutes and 53 seconds. You want to talk about building up the hype and the excitement? It's not very often you see that on a Friday Night Smackdown where, there's an air of excitement in the match, and there was, because there was a sense of urgency. It was, a timed match. You had to go less than 7 minutes and 53 seconds, and, it nearly came to an end for Orton when Barrett got, run in while the referee was distracted, run in and tried to get Randy Orton counted out by throwing him in the steel post. Then Randy Orton comes in, and it was like with about 11 seconds left, hits the RKO, and then gets the pin with 2 seconds left on the clock. That's what I mean by, electricity and excitement. They put that kind of electricity and excitement into that match by having that sense of urgency, that time limit on Randy Orton to build up more hype for the match they're going to have this Sunday at not this Sunday. Well, I think it's next Sunday. Yeah, next Sunday at TLC. So I think they did a really good job on that, in my opinion, and that's why I'm making that match of the night, in my opinion. So, what I want to know is, what are you guys' thoughts on Friday Night Smackdown? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter to tweet with me during live wrestling shows. And don't forget to check out WGS Radio this Wednesday night on WrestleDown, the discussion of Wrestling Now, for our follow-up discussion on Friday Night Smackdown, and quite possibly talking about some of your comments on this video about Friday Night Smackdown. So be sure you guys are listening Wednesday night at 7 p.m. for WrestleDown. And as it pertains to WGS Radio, don't forget tomorrow night is our coverage of the Spike TV Video Game Awards. So be sure you tune in. blogtalkradio.com/WGS Radio at 7 p.m. Central Time. Be sure you check it out, guys. So, with that being said, I'm Double B Billy Boudreaux saying thank you very much for watching.